Microsoft recently announced Fabric, their new data platform. Now, here at Endjin, we have had access to the preview of Fabric for about half a year now. You'll have seen the demos at the product launch at Build, but I wanted to get an independent view of what Fabric is like from people who've spent a significant amount of time building real systems on it. So today, I have with me two of my colleagues who've been working with the preview for some time now. We have Barry, our Director of Data Engineering and AI, and we also have Ed, our Senior Data Engineer. I am mainly involved in the software development side of things here at Endjin, so that means that I know very little about Fabric, either in a fashion sense, because I'm a developer, or in terms of Microsoft's new products. So Ed, could you start by telling me, what is Fabric? What's it about?
Sure. So Microsoft Fabric can be thought of as the third generation of Microsoft data platforms, where the first generation, for example, HD Insight or SQL Data Warehouse, was somewhat isolated takes on traditional data products. The second generation was Synapse, which integrated platforms at kind of a UX level, but still felt a little disjointed at the data level. And now we have Microsoft Fabric, which builds on the Synapse unification vision, but with a particular focus on enabling deep data level interoperability. Now, to do that, there's been a huge investment in standardizing the foundations of the platform to enable compute models to integrate and interoperate seamlessly. Then these compute models are surfaced in an experience-oriented UX that maps to common data personas like data engineers, data scientists, citizen analysts, and so on. The other big shift is that Microsoft Fabric is SaaS rather than PaaS, so that brings with it a more opinionated view of how a modern data platform should take shape and enables a shift further towards data democratization, which is kind of a fancy way of saying more self-service, and that's for all personas. It also introduces a standardized capacity-based commercial model where users don't need to manage billing for compute separately.
So how does that compare with other offerings like Databricks or Snowflake?
Well, that's a very big question indeed, and one that I'm sure lots of people will be asking. So these products are all great, but we're not quite yet comparing apples with apples. So today, Databricks, Snowflake, they have somewhat narrower, deeper focus, at least with regards to their perception. So rightly or wrongly, Databricks is still widely seen by customers as the cross-cloud platform for data science and machine learning workloads, though its marketing strategy would suggest it's now the home of the lakehouse and has even more recently branched into a fully fledged data warehouse offering. Snowflake is maybe best known as an innovative SaaS cloud data warehouse, which has more recently started releasing features that would appeal to data engineer type personas. Now, Fabric from the outset has a much broader vision, innovating all the way up and down the stack from the low-level data and compute nuts and bolts through to these kind of knowledge worker experiences that you've seen in the Microsoft demos. Now, I wouldn't expect any of these products to stand still, though. There's general convergence to this unified analytics platform happening across the whole industry. But we're going to go into more depth and produce some more content that goes into the detail, which we'll be putting on the website and sharing more videos about that.
So Barry, Ed's talked a bit about how Microsoft data platforms in the past have tended to be PaaS, platform as a service, but the Fabric moves more in the direction of SaaS. Could you tell me a bit more about what that means?
Yeah, this the SaaSification that they talk about with Fabric is really a major aspect of the new service, and I think it can have a significant impact going forward because it removes a lot of the barriers potentially to adopting a data platform. I mean, it's great to see Microsoft investing in this platform. It's been driven by industry trends. Businesses want to be more data driven, but they don't want to wait 6 to 18 months to get their first data product delivered. And I think a big part of what they're doing with Fabric is to sort of reduce that time to value, and also I think reduce total cost of ownership.
But what that does also mean, though, if we look at how Power BI has kind of grown over the last 5 years, because it started off as a SaaS platform, lots of kind of the enterprise features like networking and kind of additional like DevOps principles, application lifecycle management didn't come until further down the line, because those types of things aren't as commonplace in SaaS platforms as opposed to PaaS platforms.
But it's all been driven by this desire to sort of decentralize data and analytics within organizations, because the kind of current model relying on centralized data teams is just proving not to be scalable. And as an organizations choose to become more and more data driven, that's really why Microsoft have responded to that largely with a lot of the features and capability that they've built into Fabric.
So as you know, one of the things at Endjin we like to think about is Wardley maps, which provide a way of visualizing where technologies sit on a kind of maturity landscape as they move from genesis as brand new technologies, gradually maturing over time to the point that they eventually become like commodities. So these days, very few people run their own power generators, for example. Does Fabric represent any sort of shift of that kind towards commoditization of the sorts of things that might once have been quite specialized technical work?
Yeah, very much. We've actually analyzed that shift from products such as Synapse and Data Lake Gen 2 and their various component parts to what Fabric is offering on a Wardley map, Ian, and it's definitely, in Wardley mapping terms, a big shift to the right and upwards. So it's not just about the commoditization of the services, but also moving some of these services further up the value chain so they're more visible to the end users. And I think that's part and parcel with this overall kind of vision with Fabric to democratize data and analytics.
And it very much kind of is more aligning with, we hear a lot about data mesh, so kind of decentralized analytics, data as a product, domain ownership. There's lots of things within Microsoft Fabric that is aligned with that kind of that methodology.
Yeah, and that's right. That's one of the key features actually of Fabric, is to have different experiences for those different personas. So there's a data science experience, there's a data engineering experience, and so on. So they're very much thinking about empowering these different individuals within the organization to deliver more value and deliver that value faster.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So I find if I want to understand something, I need to get to grips with some specifics. So Ed, can you tell me what you've been doing with Fabric since you got your hands on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you know, Ian, we work for a Microsoft partner, so we were fortunate enough to actually get access to the private preview for Microsoft Fabric, and really as kind of a data consultancy and Azure consultancy, we wanted to put ourselves in our clients' shoes. What's quite commonplace we find amongst our clients are these kind of just regular cadence, batch refreshes, some ETL that can be quite complex, or ELT workloads. So we've been trying to put that through its paces. And other things that we're quite passionate about internally are more from the software engineering background. So the DevOps, the testing, the Git integration.
And Barry, do you have a favorite feature of the things you've looked at so far?
I'm a huge fan of notebooks, and I love what they've been doing with the notebooks experience. So one of the kind of bugbears with Synapse, for example, when you're using a notebook, when you open the notebook up, if you're not connecting to an existing Spark cluster that's been spun up, it can take 2, maybe 3 minutes for that to happen. And it's now down to seconds, which is amazing. And then the whole notebooks experience, they've brought, another thing about Fabric, it feels to me like it's moving more and more towards sort of Microsoft's productivity suite, and it's closer to that and less close to Azure now, in terms of the sort of whole experience. So they've been able to bring in things like commenting on notebooks, so kind of the features you enjoy with Word, when you can comment on a Word document, raise comments and have people reply to those comments. And then the other major feature for kind of is the co-editing of notebooks. So you can have multiple parties all editing a notebook at the same time, again, like you can in the Office tooling.
Okay, so this sounds great. So I'm going to go to my Azure subscription and delete all of my existing data lakes and databases. And so what then? What state is Fabric in? Is it good to go, or should I be a little more cautious than that?
I think you should be very cautious with that. The downside of kind of releasing this huge suite of, well, this new product with a huge array of services is there is so much that's being released, and all of it is new in some way. They've kind of created new functionality, or removed some functionality, or added new functionality, and we certainly have seen quite a few kind of blockers kind of along the way. We've had a few hurdles, and I think it's fair to say that being kind of such a significant new kind of release, the public preview will last at least a number of months. We don't know when GA exactly is, but it's going to be in public preview a while whilst they gather feedback and fix bugs. So what we wouldn't say is don't start migrating over your current solutions, and certainly don't fully migrate any current solutions to turn on.
What occurred to me when you were talking there is this is definitely not a rebranding of existing technologies like Synapse, Data Factory, and Power BI. There's significant change going on here, which is brilliant to see, right? This is definitely a new generation of technology from Microsoft, although a lot of it will seem familiar. What Ed's alluding to is they are investing in, redesigning a lot of the compute engines and introducing a lot of new tech to sort of make this a fully integrated experience. So that's great, but it's not ready for production workloads. You wouldn't want to run a production workload on something that's public preview anyway. But I would definitely encourage you to invest in some technical spikes, some R&D, and I would encourage you to make those kind of business focused, because this is a business orientated platform. So think about what kind of business workloads you would want to business-driven workloads you would want to put on the platform, and do some R&D around that to evaluate the platform and have clear success criteria about what you want to achieve from that, and that will inform and have you ready and prepared should you choose to do so to adopt the platform once it goes into GA.
So Barry, just to give us a rough idea of what a reasonable approach into this might look like, could you sketch out an example of something that you might think might make a reasonable spike for someone who wants to try something with Fabric for the first time? Sort of concrete example.
Yeah, so I think it comes back to one of the core principles we have around data and analytics, and that's to be driven by business goals, and we do a process called insight discovery around a business goal to understand what the department is trying to achieve, who's involved in delivering that, which personas, what the current barriers are to them, how we could help them accelerate delivering their goals, and how data ultimately could help in supporting that. So I would encourage you to take that sort of top-down approach, and a lot of what Ed's been talking about is exactly that. I mean, Fabric, if it delivers on its promise, is going to allow organizations to focus much more on that sort of top-down view of the world, and really target their brain power at that, rather than managing infrastructure, which has been a bit of a distraction up until now. And then just take that example. I would suggest keep it as simple as possible initially. So you don't need to launch into complex data science to really understand a lot about Fabric. Taking a single data set right the way from raw through Fabric into some actionable insight in Power BI, for example, would deliver a lot of useful insights for you and your team around how it could help you deliver value to the wider organization. So it's that kind of approach.
Yeah, and it's worth trying to mimic how Fabric, the terminology Fabric is using with regards to architecting a warehouse or a lakehouse, and we've kind of standardized on this medallion architecture, which again, Databricks were commonly used throughout kind of the last few years of their existence. So where you've got a bronze zone, a silver zone, and a gold zone, where that's also kind of known as kind of your raw, your cleansed, or your enriched, and your curated or your projected kind of zones. Star schemas are certainly still in play here, right, on your gold side, but try and think about kind of aligning with that Microsoft kind of architecture or guidelines as much as possible, because that's what they're developing the tool around internally. So it's wise to kind of keep things not too far away from their recommended practices there.
Okay, well, thank you very much, both of you. So it sounds to me with this that Microsoft, in a sense, is kind of getting back to their roots, because they have always been about the democratization of access to computing power one way or another. And it seems like Fabric is doing that for the sorts of data platforms that have until recently been in the hands only of sort of data wizards. And so it's now making that available to everyone like they have done with their older products. I think the challenge for us then is going to be, how do you balance that out with the engineering that's required to make reliable solutions? And I think that's going to be the challenge for organizations like Endjin and their customers going forward. Any thoughts, Barry?
Yeah, I think the way to think about it, or certainly the way I've been thinking about it, is really as Fabric as part of a wider socio-technical endeavor. And Fabric means that the technology part of that socio-technical endeavor is becoming easier, and it's going to shine a light even more on the social part. So, you know, really what I mean is the organization ready for this kind of product to get the most out of it? And I think Fabric's going to put pressure on those kind of things. So I'm talking about things like leadership and culture, and even the organization's operating model. We've talked a lot about decentralizing data and analytics and citizen analysts and all of that, but you can't enable that without some organizational change. And I think, as part of evaluating Fabric, it's not just about evaluating the technology. I think it's actually starting to think about those wider concerns, because Fabric's amazing. You can spin it up and start using it potentially within minutes, but the kind of organizational change that I'm thinking about here is going to take years potentially. So the sooner you understand that and start to move towards it, the better.
Yeah, and I think on a similar note, realistically, it's going to be down to people's budgets as well, right? If they've recently kind of replatformed onto, say, Azure Synapse, then probably the appetite to move to yet another data platform or migrate to yet another data platform might not be there. The budget just might not be there. And I think it's fair to say that we will still be proponents of Azure Synapse. We will still have clients and customers that are planning to replatform onto Azure Synapse, and that's still a perfectly valid decision. I think it's fair to say that the Microsoft Fabric will be the future of data platforms within Microsoft, but certainly don't expect kind of Azure Synapse to be going away anytime soon. But I think, from my perspective, kind of the future is bright. There's a long way to go with regards to certain kind of functionality and features within Microsoft Fabric, but the vision is there. We've seen it, and we believe in it too. It's going to be more about kind of how it lands with the wider community, how the marketing lands, because we know with Azure Synapse that didn't go entirely to plan, because not many people understood it to be much more than the data warehouse V2. It's fair to say Microsoft Fabric is much more than that. It builds on top of Synapse, brings new things. But there's the mindset shift, I think, which is the most fundamental thing of going from PaaS to SaaS.
Okay, well, Barry and Ed, thank you both very much. Now, Endjin is publishing a wealth of content on Microsoft Fabric. So if you'd like more depth, please check out the link in the description. Meanwhile, thank you very much for listening.